In December, a record-breaking snowstorm knocked out power to hundreds of thousands of PG&E customers. Some customers went weeks in the dark wondering what happened.
KCRA 3 Investigates Brittany Johnson searched for answers, and during that investigation into the outages, she uncovered documents explaining a different problem involving power poles that PG&E has known about for years.
And that was one of the initial breaks up there. It's right up here. It was already leaning.
Really?
Yeah. So it's had structural problems.
Surveying the damage in Nevada County.
This is the major culprit. This tree came down by the roots.
Roger Hoopman and his wife Vicky Fortini spent weeks without power.
So this is the fire access line. Oh, geez, Raj.
Like their neighbor Wayne Pittman, residents in Chicago Park were frustrated with the long wait for information.
I was calling 3 to 4 times a day, and at one point I was getting pretty mad.
KCRA 3 Investigates started looking into the reason behind the delay in power restoration. In our search for answers, we found documents explaining a different problem involving some PG&E power poles. The poles are treated with a solution called Selin. The solution is meant to prevent infestation and rotting. But as the poles age, they can still be subject to dry rot. The CPUC says research has found Selin-treated poles are more likely to be flagged for reinforcement or replacement once they are 42 years old. This year, 70% of PG&E Selin-treated poles will be more than 42 years old. By the year 2030, all of PG&E's 543,000 Selin-treated poles will be older than 42. KCRA 3 brought this issue to PG&E CEO Patty Poppe.
I often say, you can't fix what you don't know about. Now we know about that, and we can contain that and continue to work that issue.
In our digging, KCRA 3 Investigates found PG&E has known about age concerns with Selin-treated poles for more than a decade. In a study from 2007, an engineer warned almost a third of PG&E's poles were treated with Selin in the 1960s and are not expected to last more than 10 years from now. That report was published 15 years ago. We are now 5 years past the warning date. We wanted to know, is PG&E planning to change out all of the poles?
We change all poles out eventually. So yes, I mean, there will be a pole exchange process, but we'll be continuing to monitor that.
Part of the problem, the poles can look okay even if they're not. These pictures and report, first obtained by NBC Bay Area, shows a Selin-treated pole that fell into a backyard in Danville in 2020. An email from PG&E to the CPUC about the pole says prior inspections had failed to detect significant internal dry rot. PG&E said following that incident, it created new inspection procedures to test for rotting.
I would say on the Selin poles, we can do inspections of those poles. We are doing inspections of those poles, and we're reporting routinely to the CPUC.
PG&E wouldn't tell us the specific location of the Selin-treated poles, but we do know in Placer, Nevada, and El Dorado counties alone, there are at least 78,000. Those counties had the highest rate of outages after the December storm.
This is our 11th day without power.
And now some homeowners are concerned.
I have one right next to my house. So if something was to happen to this pole and it was weakened and I didn't know, it's definitely got me thinking.
They have to come up with a better system in place, or give it up and turn it over to somebody else.
Just this afternoon, PG&E reached out to KCRA 3 Investigates with more details about that December snowstorm. A spokesperson told us, quote, there is no evidence that Selin treatment was a factor in storm damaged poles needing to be replaced. Edie, Golston, back to you.
Okay, so Brittany, talk a little bit about what the oversight is like here. Like, who's making sure that the utility PG&E is doing its job and keeping people safe?
Great question. The California Public Utilities Commission is making sure PG&E checks and tests its poles. CPUC says it is concerned about cell-and-treated poles, especially in high fire danger areas. Officials say they were particularly concerned with PG&E's procedural gap to detect rotting poles. But the CPUC says as of 2021 and after their self-reporting, PG&E is fixing that problem with its updated testing methods.
All right, Brittany, thank you. And we have more on this on our KCRA3 app. Just scan the QR code that's on the screen there with your phone. Right now we have a map showing how many cell-on-treated poles are in each county in our region. You can see how many poles are in your area. We also have more information about what PG&E is doing to inspect those poles.